Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about a unique kind of programming language which is used in Windows in order to automate a day-to-day tasks, and that programming language is called as Bash programming language. And this Bash programming language is also used by hackers and crackers in order to create some malicious files, and with the help of that files the hackers and the crackers can do some malicious activities on a particular system. So this Bash programming language is also used by developers in order to automate some day-to-day tasks. But before going further, let's talk about that what is the execution environment of this Bash programs, or is there any special software we need in order to create these files. So the execution environment of Bash file is very simple. We need nothing. All we just need is we need a text editor. We can even use Notepad and a Notepad++, and that's it. So what we have to do is, so any command which can be run on a command prompt can be used in Bash files or a Bash programming language. So here you can see that any command which can be run on a command prompt can be used in our Bash files. So these commands can be written in Bash files. So which means our Bash file or our Bash program will actually run on a command prompt. So that's why we need nothing, just a notepad in order to create our Bash file. Now let's talk about some sample programs which we will make in this video. So these programs include lock your system. So with the help of some programs we can even lock a particular system. So what we can do is we can make one Bash file and we can send that file to anyone, and if anyone just open that file then its computer just get locked. So what else we can do is we can also open multiple pages in browser, and even we can create a malicious Bash files which may result in firewall disabled, and we can even create a backdoor for Windows and the process killer. So with the help of some Bash programming files tools we can even some extract data from the system. So that's why the Bash programming is the most popular feature in Windows. Now let's see how we can make some Bash files in order to automate day-to-day tasks, and let's create some malicious file with the help of Bash programming language. Now let's make some Bash files in order to understand that how Bash programming works. Well, in order to make Bash files and test them, I will use Windows 7 operating system in my VirtualBox so that my main parent operating system will not be affected by that Bash files. So I recommend you to please use Windows 7 in VirtualBox in order to test the Bash files which we will make in this course. So as I told you earlier that in CMD that any command which can be run inside this command prompt can be used inside the Bash files, or in other words any command that is supported by this command prompt can be used inside our Bash files. So just for example, if we write here ping google.com, you can see here that the ping command is supported, and if you want to see the directory listing, just write here dir and it will list out all the directories. And if you want to check that who am I, that whether we are root or administrator, here you can see here. So which means any command which we can type here, and if that command runs we can use that command inside our Bash files. So we don't need any kind of special text editor in order to make Bash file, and we also don't need any kind of execution environment in order to run that Bash files. All we just need is one notepad. So you can use any text editor, so I'm using Notepad here, and the next thing we need is command prompt. So first of all, before starting the Bash files, let me give you a short introduction of the commands which we can use inside the command prompt. So let me close this up and let's start the command prompt as administrator. So whenever you start the command prompt as an administrator, so you will notice here that we are inside the system32 directory. So this is our current path that where we are right in. So if we want to find and list out the files and directories which are present inside this directory system32, you just have to write dir, hit enter, and it will list out all the files which are present inside this directory. Then if we want to change the directory, just for example, if I scroll up, you will find here there are all files, but just for example you want to come back one directory. So you want to go here, Windows. So just write here cd for change directory and 2 dots. So if you hit enter, you will see that we came out one directory back, and right now we are here in local disk C Windows. And let's go back again. So now you can see that we are in local disk C directory. So let's list out the files which are present inside this. So you can see here there is one directory called as Windows users, and if you want to change your directory and you want to go here to the users, just write here cd users, hit enter, and you can see that right now we are inside users directory. The main thing to be noticed is that in command prompt it's not mandatory that you write all the command in small letters and even in capital letters. You can see here that if I write here dir, then it will also work, and if we write here dir in small letters, then that will also work. So the same thing we can apply while making our batch files. Now let's make a simple batch file, but before going there, let me give you an introduction of echo command. So if you are familiar with this command echo, so this command is also used in Linux in order to print something. So if I write here echo hello and hit enter, so here you will see that the hello is printed right after this command, and you can see here is our output. Now let's do one thing. First of all let's create a simple batch file which will print out hello for us. So whenever we are going to make a new batch file, we always have to write @echo off. So why we are writing this @echo off, I'll explain you a little bit later. So hit enter, and then here we have to specify a command which we want to execute when this file will run. So just write here echo I am new file, hit enter, and in the last we have to write here pause. So I am writing here pause. I'll explain you when I will explain this concept @echo off. So let's save this file. You can save this file on desktop and anywhere else. So write down the name demo, and we always have to save the batch files with .bat extension, that is .bat. So once I save this file, you can see that this file is created on my desktop, and all the batch files are looked like this. This is the icon of the batch files, and if I go to its properties, it will say that it's a Windows batch files. And if I open this file, you can see here that it has printed I am a new file, and is asking us to press any key to continue. And if I press any key, it just terminated. So now let's go back here to our source code. Now this thing is clear to you that the echo command is used to print out something. And now what is the use of this @echo off? So just for example, let me remove this line, let me save this file again, and let me run this again so that you can understand the difference between the echo and @echo off. So now you can see here that if we not use @echo off, then what happen is this command prompt will execute this line first, then once it execute this line or the first command, then it execute the second command after the previous one. And you can see here, so you can see here that at the first this command prompt has executed echo I am a new file, and here you can see its output, and then later on it has executed this pause, and you can see here that there is a pause written and it's saying press any key to continue. And the main other disadvantage of not using @echo off is that if we don't use @echo off, then the code which we will write in our batch file will also be printed on the command prompt. You can see here that here is our code echo I am a new file, and the same code is printed on the command prompt. So that's why it's mandatory to write @echo off in order to hide our code. And if I just run this file again, you will see a clean, neat output. So let's remove this pause and run it again, and you will see that whenever I double click on it, a command prompt will come and suddenly it disappears. You can see here. So that's why we use pause in order to hold our command prompt. And you can see here, now here is our command prompt. So this is the basic usage, that how we can create a batch file and how the batch file works. Now let's make some batch files in order to see that what else we can do. So first of all, we'll see that how we can make a folder bomb. So we can't say the batch files are viruses. So we can just say that the batch files are actually the files which are used in order to execute a particular command on a particular system. So the folder bomb is actually just a batch file which will make a random folders in a target machine. So how to make a folder? First of all, let me just open my command prompt. Okay, so let me list out everything. So you can see here the list of folder. Now in command prompt, if you want to make a folder, then what you have to do is, so just write here md, that is for make directory or a make folder, followed by the folder name which you want to create. So just write here demo, hit enter, and if you just write here dir, you will see that a new directory named as demo is created. Now what we will do is, in our batch file, we will make a code which will make thousands of folder in our target machine. Let's go back here to our notepad file. Let's create a separate one. So I will start with echo off. Then here I will start one loop which will iterate and goes till infinity. So in order to start loop in batch programming, we have to write here colon, then x. So you can write here anything like x, y, b, that's just a variable. Then here we have to write down a command which we want to execute. So we want to execute md. Then here I will write here random inside the percentage. So what is the meaning of this? So as I told you earlier that in order to make folder or a directory, we have to write here md followed by the directory name which we want to create, like first. So now we want to create a directory thousands of time, but we don't want to specify any particular name. So that's why I have written here random. So it will start from any random number. So that is md percentage random, and in the last we will write here go to and x. So here you can see that we have specified a particular loop that just started from here. Then execute this line, and till how long you have to execute this code, I have written here go to x. Means we haven't specified any particular point that after 10 times you will terminate, after 15 times you will terminate. Just execute this command in infinity. So let me just save this file, and let me save it on a desktop and name it as a folder bomb .bat. And here you will see that a file folder bomb is created. Now let's make a new folder and put it inside it. Okay, so here you can see that the file is here, and let's just double click on this file, and you will see here a subdirectory or a file already exists. And if you look at here at the background, you will see here that it start making folders. You can see a long list of folders. So in order to stop this file and in order to stop the folders, we have to just close this file. And you can see here that within seconds this file has created 14,266 folders. So this is the beauty of batch files. Now let's just try to make a file which will add a random user accounts in any of operating system. So let's go here. So in Windows, if you are not familiar with that how we can check the accounts in command prompt, then there is one command called as net user which we can use in order to check that how many accounts are associated with this Windows operating system. So if I hit enter, here you will see that right now there are 3 accounts. The first one is administrator, then there is a guest, then there is a root. So we can also verify here that right now we are logged in as a root. So in order to add a particular user inside the Windows operating system, the first thing we have to do is we have to open a command prompt with the administrator privileges, and then here we have to write here net user, then net user followed by the username we want to add. So just for example, we want to create a new user, so let it be demo1, and then we have to write here /add. So if I hit enter, here you will see that the command completed successfully. Now let's verify that whether this user is created or not, and you will see here that a user named as demo1 is created. So we can just verify it from here. So manage other account, and here you will see that the user named as demo1 is created. Now let's do one thing. Let's create one batch file which will add 1,000 of users in a Windows 7 operating system. So what you can do is you can send these files to your friends in USB drives via through email, and if someone just open this file, and that person will just get affected. So let's create a new notepad file. Okay, so the same thing I will write here @echo of, then I will add here infinite loop, and I will write here command net user. Then here the same thing I will do, I will write here random because we don't want to specify a username. Then add, and in the last I will write here go to till x. We haven't specified a particular position, so that's why I'm writing here go to x to make it as an infinite loop. So let me save this file. So user add dot bat. Let's just save this file, and you can see here that the file is created. So if you remember, then I told you that in order to create user by command prompt, we have to open a command prompt with an administrative privileges. So just for example, if I just run this script without administrative privileges, let's see what happens. So you can see that it's giving us an error that access is denied. But if I just run this script as an administrator, what we'll see, the command completed successfully. So let's just stop this file, and let's go here, click on manage account, and you will see here that this file has created lots of users in this operating system. So it's not letting me to close this, but no worries. So what we can do is we can even verify by writing here net user, and you can see the user names. Now let's have a look at one more batch file that is called as folk bomb. So in operating system, there is one call called as fork call. So the what fork do, it actually create a lot of processes in our system, which eventually makes our system to crash. Now let's write here @echo of, and you will just get amazed that in order to crash any system, all we just need is the 5 digits code or the 5 letters. The first one is percentile, then 0, then again percentile, then again 0. And if I save this file, and let's just rename it as a fork.bat, click on save, and here is that file you can see. So if I just open this file, wait for 5 seconds, and here you will see that my system is stuck now. I can't do anything. If I want to close this file, it will not letting me to close this. You can see here the system is out of environment space because it has created lot of processes at the background. You can see here that I can't do anything. So the only thing I can do is just reboot this system. So let's just reboot this system, and let's start it again. So this is the beauty of batch programming, that we can do a lot of things if we know properly that how we can create a batch files. And here you can see that there are a lot of users, but here is mine. So now let's create a batch file which will turn off the firewall when the user open that batch file by administrative privileges. But before going there, let's see that how we can turn off firewall by using command prompt. So there is one command called as netsh firewall set op mode, that is operation mode, and we want to disable it. And if I hit enter, you will see that the requested operation requires elevation, which means this command is not successfully executed because we are not an administrator. So that's why we have to run this command in command prompt by with administrative privileges. Now let's write here firewall set op mode and disable. And if I hit enter, here you will see that the command executed successfully. Here it's the success message, okay. Now let's just verify this. Let's go here to control panel, security, Windows firewall, and here you will see that the Windows firewall is off. You can see the status, Windows firewall status. Now in order to enable this firewall, just write here enable, and you will see that the firewall is enabled now. You can see its status. Now let's add this functionality in our batch file. So let me save this file on my desktop. And here is that file. Let me just run it as an administrator. And let's just go back to our control panel, system and security, Windows firewall, and here you will see that now firewall is turned off. So this is how we can use batch programming in order to automate day-to-day tasks, and even we can create some malicious script which can affect a particular system. So in this video we have discussed that what is batch programming and how to make some simple batch files in order to see that how batch programming works. So thanks for watching this video.